Thanks, lads. Great to be here, and warm welcome to everyone. Great to have everyone here, and a massive thank you to Ladbrokes and also the Square Ball. We're going to have a little bit of a chat, obviously, before the game. And the World Cup is upon us. Are you excited, Packie?
Yes, after all the controversy that went around it. I think the lead-in is probably so quick that it's only hit us in the last couple of days, hasn't it, really? The World Cup is here. After watching a couple of games, I'm getting now the excitement's building up. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the football pans out. That was a good game earlier on that I watched. The game yesterday wasn't so good, but the opening ceremony looked as if it was sensational, to be honest. And that is what. But I remember the good old days in the World Cup when you had almost about 5 or 6 weeks leading in, where you had the sort of the song. Remember the songs, guys?
Yeah.
I haven't heard any songs, have I?
No, we haven't.
No songs. No. Okay, we might make up one tonight, will we?
Stephen's good on the old songs, I believe.
Rubbish at singing.
But listen, we will get into the memories and all that. But as Packie kind of mentioned there, the World Cup has kind of just beginning to happen. So where it fits in the season. How do you think the players are going to respond to that? Like they haven't had that run in with the team and having that kind of whole kind of couple of weeks to really kind of bed in and all the rest of it. So in terms of, say, for example, Premier League, it's now just ceased. It's World Cup. How do you think that the players will fare with all that? I'll go with you, Stephen.
Yeah, no, listen, I think they're up and running. They're playing games, so there's no time for 2 or 3 weeks off, have a little rest. Sometimes it can actually go the other way and you can actually feel not sharp and ready to go. I think the players now that are playing, granted the 1 or 2 English players that are injured and they're protecting them like all the squads, but I think from an England point of view, they're ready to go, they're sharp. You've seen today, they have pretty much a full squad, they're all fit. So most of the players within the World Cup are ready to go, and it should lead to a high press, a high entertaining games.
I think mentally they're all up for it. They're coming off their season, they're coming off playing games. Where I'm very worried about is the physical side, coming maybe from a club environment into an international environment where the tempo will be up and so on. I think the different sports scientists also, you're not going to get the club guys who know what's going on. I'm sure there's been a big transfer of information from club to international, just to have them, because injuries is a worry, and you have to manage players because they've played lots and lots of games, Champions League, most of these guys, they're playing at the top week in, week out, and now when other players are not playing, they're off getting a rest, this group now is the intensity even gone up further. So that's the only worry I have, and you've seen what happened in France, which is incredible. Some of the players that is going to miss out there, which is really
And
worrying.
is it hugely different going from club to international?
Yeah, the intensity is dramatic. I think you're almost, your body's in a serious kind of a state, and then suddenly you come in. You have to work with other players, other managers. You've got to try to impress also the manager to be in the team. So you're almost giving it slightly a different situation. You're going away from your environment of sleep and habits and so on, staying in hotels, staying in camps. So there is a huge difference to that.
You can go the other way. It's almost like a relief sometimes if Jack Grealish, for example, not playing with Man City.
You don't want them playing, for God's sake.
But then comes in today and scores a goal and gets his confidence going, and all of a sudden he's going, if I'm playing well at the World Cup, am I going to be sold? He got linked last week with a move from Man City, no smoke without fire.
So the shop window then?
Shop window, exactly. And he's a £100 million player, comes at a price tag, has delivered a goal today, so he's off to a good start.
Yeah, he must be one of your players, is he? No? Is he?
Yes. He wasn't until he become English, but I do have it.
Well, look, they're already chatting about the English team, and it's very interesting because Ladbrokes did a survey to determine Ireland fans, who would they be supporting at this tournament, and England came out on top.
Why are you so influenced by England clubs and players and so on? No, I agree. I think we all grew up. I grew up in Donegal when I was a young man, and Spurs was my team only because of Pat Jennings. I must say, I was very neutral thereafter, but in the sense that I think we all had our English club to follow. And that time it was all English players. So we are influenced dramatically by the English game, the Premier, and the level. And we see all these players now in the World Cup, a lot of them in the English Premier. So we're influenced that way. So, yeah, we want to see them do well up to a point. Up to where? How far will we take England this year? Who's English? Who's English in the audience?
Nobody.
Is there a couple of English?
They won't
All
put the hand up if they
No,
are.
they're afraid. They're scared. So we'll take them up to maybe the quarter semis. We'll give them the semis, but we don't want them getting close to that big one. Yeah.
On that as well, if you go through the French team, Netherlands, Ghana, there's a lot of English Premier League players playing in all these squads. So there's a lot to only until you actually look at the squads and you go down through every squad. There's one or two players that play in the Premier League, which will highlight the strength of it.
Yeah. So look, it started in a couple of games yesterday, today, and obviously another one on tonight. It's probably you can't really pick a team off the back of what we just seen, but coming into it, who are you looking forward to watching? Any teams? Any particular players?
Yeah, I actually quite like Ghana. Whenever you go to the World Cup, you always look for the team you don't know too much about. So I did a bit of research. Believe it or not, I am an agent. I have to do my work every now and again. And Packie, I think Suleimani is injured now apparently, but they've got some really Mane type players that we're all looking for pace. We're all looking to stretch teams these days with a high press. And Packie of Ghana is quite good if he gets minutes. Hopefully he will, to show off his skill set. I don't look after him just in case Packie's going to say it, but there's the Canadian team, the American team is full of high press. Bielsa ball to a certain degree. Hopefully they'll give us an entertaining game tonight.
So again, as a reference to shop window, you're coming from a different angle.
It's terrible, isn't it? I can't get away from it.
Money. You can't get away from money in the World Cup.
I'm glad I'm standing beside someone with money.
Who's the connection? So I'm going to ask a question out there. Who's our connection, the Irish connection with Ghana? Yeah, Chris Hutton, who's out there as a technical advisor.
Okay, what's
Chris
that?
is what is that? You should know that in athletics. Technical advisor.
You've had a few roles. Is that not one you've had?
No, not technical advisor. Technical director, slightly different. It's a bigger picture.
Okay.
Chris is getting the money. I'm not. But Chris is a wonderful, wonderful guy, and I think he's got family connections with Ghana also.
George Boateng, remember him? I played with him for a year. He's with assistant manager, coach, I think.
Yeah. So we have a lot of connections actually with the World Cup in Ireland, even though we're not there. Yeah. Can anybody tell me, by the way, and I did ask somebody down there, these two young men.
You've got to be quiet on this one.
Here's a question. A young man who's going to be playing tonight, that his dad came from just round the corner and his auntie's living there.
Go for
that
it.
again?
No. Come on, there's one for
Are
you
you
now.
giving out
I'm
3
looking
points?
at the American team here. Any clues? Mackenzie.
I'll ask you another question about the American team in a second. An Irish connection with the Welsh team. He's in the team, I think. Let me see. He should be. Ampidou. Well done, young man. Get that man a pint. For that.
Forget about that. You should be up here sitting beside me.
Ampidou's dad played with us, but his mother was born in Swansea and he was born in Exeter, and he's declared for Wales. But we wish him well. He's a lovely young man, 20 years old, playing in the middle of the pitch.
So, Packie, just same question in terms of the World Cup. Do you always look at the goalkeepers? Or
No. From my because I do multiple roles, as Stephen knows. The goalkeepers do almost attract my attention. Who's going to be the best goalkeeper?
Here he is there, number 15.
Yeah. Who's going to be the best goalkeeper in this one?
Question.
That's a really good question. It depends on how far the teams go, of course. I think Courtois is probably up there with the best at the moment, in especially in Europe, but maybe now this is a stage to show that he's the best in the world. I watched him recently for Real Madrid against Celtic, and he looked enormous, coming for crosses, made the penalty save, improved with his feet dramatically. So I think he is up there. Ederson probably won't play. It'll be Alisson, which is a shame. But Alisson is a really top-class goalkeeper, reads the game, makes saves. I don't think he's as good with his feet as Ederson, which is interesting.
So why have Chelsea goalkeepers notoriously failed at Chelsea for the last 3-4 years?
You've seen
Mendy?
one there tonight,
Yes.
Mendy. I was just talking to these two young men. We had a lovely conversation about it. Goalkeeping now is about reality. You've got to put people into the box when you're practicing crosses. Mendy would have caught that ball 100 times out of 100 tonight. But as soon as a striker goes in there, doesn't get there. So is there a coach out there, reality-based learning. Put the defenders in, he's got to make different decisions. There you are, Stephen.
So I have a goalkeeper, Packie, at Brighton. I'm hoping Rob Sanchez will be sold to Brighton. That's why I asked the question. And he can move up the ladder.
Yeah.
At the right time, may I add, for him. But I was kind of happy to see Mendy come and be a Superman there, but that's fine.
Right, well, look, we're going to kind of move the conversation on into the memories, okay? Because the World Cup, you know, as a little kid, and I'm sure everyone in here, we grew up on those memories. And obviously, Packie, starting with yourself. But even before we get into Italia 90 and all that, your own kind of early World Cup memories, what are they?
Yeah, well I'm 62.
What was that?
So my first real memory, I didn't remember 66 and England team and sort of. My first memory was 1970, and I don't know if there's anybody in the room as old as me. Anybody remember 1970 Mexico? Put your hand up. I think this young man here behind you, look at him, is 1970. And that was a wonderful, there's another one there. Two young men.
Does anyone have a bus pass, is what he's asking.
I have a free bus pass in Glasgow, by the way. It's brilliant. You can go down the road and have a pint and come back up. Nobody even knows.
And I look 62, but I'm only 42, so get lost.
So Mexico was my first memory. It was a wonderful, wonderful tournament as a young boy, 10 years old, growing up in Donegal. We probably had black and white TV, and my dad used to allow us to stay up at night and watch the games coming in from Mexico. And that Brazil team against Italy was wonderful. Progressed 1978 to Argentina. I was in Butlin's holiday camp with Donegal, the Interprovincials. Believe it or not, actually was on down there. And I was a young goalkeeper. I just signed for Celtic, but I was finishing off over here. And that was the summer we watched the great Argentina team. Brilliant Kempes, Mario Kempes, Lukai, all of those players, Ardiles, all of those playing in it. Wonderful, wonderful times.
But it's amazing how vivid it is, and you remember. And I'm sure, like, Stephen, like, World Cup memories is probably to do with himself there, is it?
Listen, I don't want to blow smoke up the backside to a certain degree, but we all need memories to try and create memories. And having played football for so long, I now know how hard it is to make a memory and to create a memory. And I said to him earlier, sometimes it's actually hard to stand in front of you and all you can see is that penalty save. And all you can remember is jumping off the sofa or actually hugging your dad or hugging your mum, whatever that moment was for everybody. And listen, the worst thing about it is actually I wasn't even drunk. I was sober and I actually remember going, what a moment.
I think we all have our memories. Do you know the great thing about sport is it's about emotion, yeah? And if you wrap emotion around, I keep saying this all the time, if you wrap emotion around a memory, you will remember it exactly where you were, who you were, what, when it was, how it affected me, and that will stick with you for the rest of your life. We'll never forget those memories. We'll never kind of get rid of them. And maybe when we're old people, I said to the men down there, we're in an old pensioners' home, we'll be talking about the memories. Yeah. We'll be repeating ourselves about those memories. But they're wonderful, wonderful things. The younger generation now need new memories. They watch the videos, but it's not just the same as some of you guys. I don't know, what age were you in 1990? Were you born? He's only one, so he's got no memory what we're talking about whatsoever.
But like on that, I can't stop looking at your hands. It's like that, like those famous hands. But talk to us about that moment. Like everything with that World Cup, first World Cup, and what was it like? Just give us a bit of a snapshot. Like, come on, because look at the Welsh team now. Like they're creating history. It's a long time since they were in a World Cup.
That's actually I think it's very similar to what we went through. We had a wonderful European Championships in '88. We got a taste of how the reaction would be. We were in against great teams, but it was Ireland stepping on to the stage. And then to qualify for a World Cup and go and kind of almost live your dream of playing against the best in the world. But it was the lead into it. As I said, the songs, getting the gear, just playing even the friendlies in front of the fans in Dublin before we went. Just absolute. And we remember this. Now, the Irish team, and this isn't a criticism by any means, but there's 21 staff there. At that time, we had Jack, Maurice Setters, Mick Byrne, and little Charlie O'Leary. Remember little Charlie, who's still going, 97 years old, did all the kit, little Charlie. Unbelievable. I met him at the game last week, and he's still talking as if it was yesterday, and the memories. That was it. And Eddie Cochran was the liaison officer, the logistics guy. 4 people to run the whole World Cup. But what it did, it was created a team, almost like a club team effect. And we had wonderful, the songs in the buses, the songs going. The fans were allowed inside. They came after for the party. The media came afterwards. We drank with them and so on and so forth. So that was the lead in, and everybody was part of it. And I just think it was a simple time also.
Yeah.
It wasn't, we didn't have social media.
Well, hang on, right, because I want to jump in there, right? Social media, YouTube, right? Like, players now analyse other players. But back then, there was none of that. So, you know, when you go, say the Romanian team, for example, Timofte, like, did you know this fella, or like?
We didn't know any of the Romanian team, by the way, when we went out to play against them. Hadji was the only one really we knew, and he was a wonderful player because he played in Europe and so on. But we didn't know any of the guys. There was no analysis really done. We might have the famous story about Jack watching video analysis, and it wasn't actually. It might have been the World Cup. But we were down in Palermo and we were due to play Holland. And a video arrived, the old VHS video arrived. And Jack says, he says, I think I've got a bit of information here. He says, get the boys down, get them out of their beds. And we went downstairs and he gave Morris Setters the job of putting the video on. So Morris got the video set up and he was up and we all strolled in. And we were all down, and Jack says, now listen to it, watch it, because it'll give you some good information, he says. And then he says, Morris, play. And Morris switched on the video. And the video was a national anthems. There was no cutting up of the video or anything. It started with the national anthems, and it went across this face, tight in, this face, and we're all looking at it and said, don't recognize him. And then it pans out, and there's no crowd. And it was the under-21 team. And Jack says then, he's fucking watch it anyway. They play the same way. And then after 10 minutes, the boys went off. Fuck this. So Jack, get up to your bed. So that was the height of the analysis and social media.
It's brilliant. But look, the highs and lows of sport. And before Adrian jumps on here, just very quickly, and I hate to do it, right, but we're going to go back to Thierry Henry and all that because, you know, when we talk and we look at kind of sport, that is such a pivotal moment. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
So you go through the generation. So I went to, say, Premier League in 2007-8. There wasn't a time where I didn't know who I was playing against, what they were, how they played. I was a penalty taker, what way they went for penalties and the percentages. And then you get to today's game with VAR. So Thierry Henry's handball would not have counted, of course. It would have been disallowed. But the real fact of the matter for that time and that moment, it hurt, of course. There wasn't that many replays after the game to be seen either. So I shared it, big time as I am, shared a jet home with Patrice Evra and John O'Shea, and we went back to our Premier League teams, not knowing the consequences. Of course, we were disappointed.
Did he buy you a drink?
I won't repeat what I said to him, but it was really frustrating at the time. But now looking at it now, it hurts a lot more now. Because when you're playing, you know, Packie, you always think there's the next World Cup. You always think there's the next European Championships. It's really getting bitter now, as I may add, as I didn't play in 2012 and went as a squad player, but based on injury, I didn't play. But yeah, that's your answer.
Well, you obviously went into Paris feeling confident you could get a result.
Well, if we'd lost to a good team and they outplayed us, which the French team were obviously a good team, we actually over the 2 legs were the better team. That's what made it hard to take. Looking back on it, if we hadn't performed and hadn't played so well, especially in the away leg, where I didn't play, but I was obviously involved, I played in the first leg, we were outstanding on the night. I had a great relationship with the manager, Trapattoni. I was as busy as you are as a person when it comes to athletics, right? I'd be warming up on the side of the pitch. I'd know when I'm coming on, so I knew if the game was going a certain way, I'd put my shin pads on knowing that the manager would bring me on. Not once did I put my shin pads on in Paris. because I knew the boys were doing a good job. They were ready to play, and that's probably the disappointing side of it.
Yeah, that's sport, the highs and lows of it all. Right, before we move on, the game tonight, what way do you see it going? Very quickly.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough game. The other question I was going to ask you is that two Celtic players. There's one actually I'm very disappointed is not playing, Carter Vickers, but there's one more player who played for Celtic in that USA team. Anybody pick him out? No. Wrong this time. You have your free pint. You're getting no more.
You settle down there, lad.
Anybody else? 10 seconds. Timothy Way up front. George Way's son. Came from PSG to Celtic on loan for when he was young. And there you are. There's a bit of useful information for you in the quiz. So from that perspective. So tonight, it's going to be a tough game. USA is a decent team. I just hope Wales do it, to be honest, because I think we've got an affection to Wales, And they do those guys, Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, I know Joe Allen's not playing tonight, Ben Davis, all of those guys have been around the block. This is their swan song, really, and they want to see them. That's the feeling I got. It does
feel like the Ireland of '88, you said it earlier, and they've had that success, and now they're all singing songs together, they're all buying into the tradition of Wales. And listen, if we get an early goal tonight, I think it could be a real cracker of a game.
Just the final one on that. Did anybody hear Ben Davis' interview? Spoken Welsh, which is lovely. We couldn't do it in Irish. We couldn't do it in Gaelic when we were here. It's lovely.
Lads, appreciate that. We'll be back after the game for a bit of chat as well. So enjoy the evening. I'm going to hand you back to Adrian here now.